This is the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I've been using this phone for over a month now, and I'm ready to share my thoughts. Let's start with the design and build quality of the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The phone has a sleek and premium look just like every other iPhone, and now there's the option of deep purple, which I kind of regret picking because I think the white looks better, but the build quality is solid. It's an iPhone. This generation's iPhone is heavier than the last generation, and the weight is pretty noticeable. So if you have smaller hands or prefer a lighter phone, go with the regular sized Pro. If you value the bigger screen, then obviously you have to go for the Max. The display on the iPhone 14 Pro is a 6.7-inch OLED screen, and it comes with Apple's ProMotion technology, which goes up to 120 Hz, giving you a smoother experience. It's the same screen as the previous generation model. The colors are vibrant, the blacks are deep, and the viewing angles are excellent. It's an ideal display for viewing videos, playing games. It's a tried and true screen that Apple's been using for the past however many years, and there's pretty much nothing to complain about. It's the same old screen. One of the new features on this generation's model is the always on display, which can lower the screen up to 1 Hz, and that's implemented to drain as little battery as possible. If you're into this feature, it's a nice addition, but do I use it? All right, let's move on to the camera, which is my favorite part of this phone. The iPhone 14 Pro has 3 lenses. It comes with a 48 megapixel main sensor. It has a 12 megapixel ultra-wide sensor and also a 12 megapixel telephoto lens. Cinematic video now supports 4K, whereas the last generation 13 Pro only supported 1080p. And so the biggest difference on paper between the 14 and the 13 Pro is the megapixels and the cinematic video resolution. There's also a slightly bigger aperture on the 14, but is it noticeable? So if you have a 13 Pro and you hope for a big camera upgrade, it's not it. This generation is, yeah. But if you're using an older iPhone, then this generation is great. So there's a pretty big annoyance I have with this camera, and that's when I'm trying to take a photo of a subject, and I want that subject to be close because I want the blurry background. But whenever I get somewhat close to the object or the subject, the iPhone thinks I'm trying to shoot in the macro mode. So it changes lenses, and I don't want that to happen. I want the main lens to shoot the picture so I get like a really good, nice blurry background. I had to turn on a setting within the photo settings to allow me to manually pick when to switch to the main lens. So that's the biggest annoyance I have with this camera. And you can actually pretty noticeably see a difference between when it's using the 2 different lenses. Other than that, the photos and videos look pretty good. Here's some samples.
You think about me now, yeah, all the time, yeah, all the time, yeah. I got no time to lose. 내 길었던 하루, 난 보고 싶어. 따따따따 울린 심장. I got nothing to lose. 널 좋아한다고.
So the big design change for this year is the dynamic island. It's pretty helpful, but it's not a major reason to upgrade. It's just the new design language that Apple is going for. But here's some things I found useful with dynamic island. When you use Apple Maps and swipe off the Maps application, it shows you a little arrow pointing you which direction to head towards. When you're using the timer can be shown, and Spotify shows you the album you're playing. And that's pretty much it, other than some nice little animations it has when you unlock your phone with Face ID, or when you complete a purchase, it has a nice little check mark at the top. Yeah, productivity wise, I can't see it helping that much. One thing I've noticed about the dynamic island is that it's influencing web design, specifically YouTube. So YouTube now has a rounded border around its thumbnails, and I'm pretty sure that's because of Apple's choice of using the little pill thing. Yeah, just an observation, but yeah, Apple's influence is pretty big. In terms of performance, obviously the iPhone 14 Pro is the best Apple chip there ever was in an iPhone, but I think not many people are able to utilize all the power the chip has, me included. Ever since the iPhone 10, I feel like performance-wise, the average person doesn't really need a stronger chip. If you want the best performance and you still want to stick with Apple, then you only have one choice, and that's the iPhone 14 Pro. If you're jumping from an older iPhone, you should notice a difference. But if you have a more recent iPhone, the jump probably isn't worth it. Battery life on this year's model is pretty solid, especially on the Max. The iPhone 14 Pro Max lasts me about a full day of use, and that's including like nonstop filming. If you're just using it for some basic tasks, it should last you more than a day. The iPhone 14 Pro is an iPhone. It has a familiar design, a great display, an excellent camera, and solid performance. And the battery life is pretty good. And of course, it's not a cheap phone, but if you're in the market for the best iPhone Apple has to offer, you only have one choice. Competitors like Samsung are giving users a choice between foldables, flip phones, and a normal phone. The iPhone in this year's MKBHD competition showed that competitors are past the iPhone in terms of camera quality. And it's not just like Samsung, it's like a bunch of other competitors. So if camera quality is your priority, then you might want to look at the other choices. But the biggest priority for me is the ease of use. And because I'm using a Mac and because AirDrop exists, I feel forced to stick with Apple. And in recent years, I feel like Apple products are becoming pretty boring. I used to get pretty excited with new releases, but I don't really see myself being excited for future Apple products. So I guess I gotta stick with the 14 for a pretty long time. If you enjoyed my thoughts and opinions on the new iPhone, please leave a like and leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.